morning. It is good to see you back after the 4th of July. Many of you were gone, and we are glad you found your way home. Today we're going to be continuing on. Last week we kind of had an introduction to our new series, Love Does the One Another's, and today we're going to get right into the meat of the series. And I would like to begin today's message the way we ended last week's message. And we ended it making this statement, doing makes the difference. Now I want you to read this with me if you would please. All of you together, focus your eyes, get your glasses on if you can't see far away, whatever you've got to do. But let's say it together. Ready? Doing makes the difference. Doing changed the world. Love, as Jesus defined it, love for one another is our differentiator, which means our love for one another should be noticeable, notable, and distinct. This is what we want to talk about, because we are so often sidetracked into thinking that it's all about what we believe, but it's more than what we believe. It's what we actually do that makes the difference in this life. The goal of the series is not for you to know the one another's of the New Testament, although I think that is important. I think it's important that we know that throughout the New Testament, Jesus and the apostles gave us all the things we need to maintain the relationships one with another the way they should be. I remember one time after I had basically discovered this list throughout the New Testament, I was teaching it to a group of pastors, and I went through this, and this was many, many years ago, before they'd written all the books about it. I was reading it, and one of the older pastors there, he said, "Where did you find all these?" And I'm trying not to be the smart aleck young kid in the group, and I said, "In the Bible," like that's what all the little things at the end are. But it's because so many times they're in the Bible, but we don't connect the dots. And the dots that are connected are to let us know, look, this is how you are to behave one with another. In the New Testament, in the early church, they had all kind of different groups of people, some from a Jewish tradition, some from a Gentile tradition. They had from different parts of the world. The Roman world had stirred up. They were completely different, and when they would get together and try to have church, there was just stuff that the others did that some people didn't like. Have you ever noticed that some people in church aren't as cool as you? Have you noticed that? Have you noticed that they don't all just do things the way you do it, and you would really prefer it to be differently? I have figured this out. If you go to church and there is not at least a little bit of tension, then something's wrong. Something's wrong. Because there should be a little tension. If not, it's all about what you like. Sometimes I don't like every song we sing. Anybody experience that? Would you raise your hand? Thank you. Especially the ones where the guitars start off the wrong song. But that's a different issue. We won't get into that. But it's not about what I always like, and it's not about what you always like. There should always be a little bit of tension so that everybody has something there. That's what it's supposed to be. That's how it was in the New Testament. It's not just about believing the importance of the one another's. I think we as we study them, we realize, yeah, these are important, but we can believe it's important, but it's more than that. It's about doing the word, not just being hearers only. And we want to be doers of the one another's. Today I want to start off with this: the power of presence. The power of presence. Write that in your bulletins, please. The power of presence. 4 years ago, we did an extensive study on Jesus' Sermon on the Mount that we find in Matthew chapter 5 through 7. And as we talked about this, we learned to view things that we found in this sermon in the following way. We learned to see it as a portrait. Notice this, a portrait. Hit the button, please. A portrait of Jesus himself and of the Father and of the man to be. In other words, Jesus was telling everyone as he went through these 5 things, this is the way I am going to live. Now, that was a pretty big deal. He was saying, you've heard people say, but my Father says this, and so this is how I'm going to be. But it wasn't just him. He was also getting them to know the heart of the Father and how his Father was. But not just his Father and him, but he wanted everyone to know this is how they were supposed to be if they were truly followers of him and of his Father. We came to see that the descriptions that we found in this sermon were descriptions of what we know as Christian. Now, I'm talking about the noun, not the adjective. In other words, when the Bible says Christian, it says this is Christian. We always talk about Christian music or Christian movies. We make it an adjective. But whenever it appears in the Bible, it's a noun. It was the way they were, not just a category that they fit in. And so Christians, followers of Christ, are the ones that were described as blessed. And they were blessed because of what? Because they were poor in spirit. Because they mourned for their own sins and the sins of others. They were humble. They were hungry and thirsty for righteousness. They were merciful. They were peacemakers. He said this type of people, when they're in a crowd, when they're in a certain environment, they will be like salt of the earth and light of the world. Whenever they were present, Jesus said of them in Matthew 5:13, you are the salt of the earth. You are the light of the world. Wow. When it talks about salt, we are to preserve what is good and gives the best flavor to any environment where we find ourselves. Any situation that we find ourselves, whether it is home, whether it is neighborhood, whether it is at a party, whether it is work, the Christian in the crowd should be what keeps this place headed in the right direction. This is the one who not only sets the tone, but sets the direction. I always say, if people around your job are speaking of things in ways they shouldn't, and you walk up and the conversation doesn't change, there's not a lot of salt going on in your life. But if you step up and everybody goes, and they may even make it fun, oh, we got to be quiet. The Christians here. Or they'll probably call you the Pope, or the priest, or the something. You know, guess what? There's salt in your life. They know that shouldn't be. Not because you're going to preach at them. It's just, they just feel a little weird saying the things the way they say them when you're around, because they know you are different. By the same token, I believe Christians should have the very best parties in the world. Okay? And I mean that. The Christian party should be the best parties. Now, if you're a boring Christian, sorry. That's not what we're called to be. I don't think Jesus was boring at all. In fact, I love it when I see movies and I see things about him, and he is literally the life of the party. He is really salt. He is really adding flavor to whatever it is that he is involved in. I love to think of Jesus laughing. I love to think of Jesus when he sees situations and he's making it better and he's doing things and he's seeing people finally get it and he is just laughing about it. That is salt. That is flavor. That is preserving what the best is in whatever situation. But we're not only salt, it says that we are also light, which means that as light, we are to give direction to what is best for everyone. In other words, they should look to us and say, what do you think we ought to do? What do you think we ought to do now? Not because you are a member of this church or because of my position, maybe where I am as a pastor. No. Just simply, we're watching your life. We like where you're headed with it. What do you think we should do? What's your thought on the matter? I remember one time I was in a deal downtown at the school board, and it was a gathering that they had asked if we would all come together and rethink school. Now there's a concept. Rethink how school should be. And I was invited to be a part of it. Here's everybody else, doctor this, doctor that, doctor the other, and I can't even doctor a cut on my hand, but I'm there. I'm in the middle of it all. And so they're talking about this and about that and how they should change it. And finally someone said, well, I know this isn't popular, but since we can rethink it, I think we got to get God back in the classroom somehow. And the person leading said, well, we thought that might come up. So we invited Reverend Johnson. And I had to turn around looking for him. I didn't know who Reverend Johnson was. I never go by that name. But you know what? Sometimes in life, people just want direction from someone who thinks, at least, that they're headed in the right direction. We are to be light. We are to be salt and light. In fact, Jesus, in this same passage, said this, let your good deeds shine out for all to see, so that everyone will praise your heavenly Father. Notice it didn't say, let your doctrinal position shine. It said what? Let your good deeds, your actions, the things you do, stand out so that everyone else will praise God. In fact, we're supposed to give people direction toward God himself in every situation. Let me ask you a question. Is that really how the world sees Christians today? If I were to go out to an unchurched group and ask them, pick a picture of a Christian, what would they pick out? I'm afraid most would pick out somebody holding up a sign at a parade, making fun or condemning to hell everybody walking in the parade. And yet I don't think Jesus would have ever been there. They would maybe talk about somebody with a finger pointed out, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And yet I don't think that was Jesus either. And yet that is the way Christians come across. But that's not what Jesus said. He said we would be salt and we would be light. write these two things down, and then I want you to really think about them. Christians are not to be at war with the world. Christians are not to be at war with the world. Christians are to be on mission in the world. That's a world of difference. That changes everything. In the first one, I'm fighting everything around me. In the second one, I'm in the middle of everything around me, making a difference. And that's why Paul said, I've become all things to all men, that by all means I might what? Save some. I've become to one group like they are, and I've become to another group. You go, well, he's just wishy-washy. No, he was on mission. He knew that everything around him wasn't the way it should be, but salt goes in and makes the difference. Light goes in and points the way. That is what we should be. I introduced you to a book last week entitled Not In It to Win It by Andy Stanley. And he says, we are not at war with the culture. Culture war Christianity is not simply a waste of time. It is diametrically opposed to the teaching of Paul and the example of Jesus. As it relates to the influence of the church, our nation's challenges do not stem from the church's inability to convince unbelievers to behave like believers. Our challenges stem from the church's inability to inspire believers to behave like believers. Bad church experiences are almost always related to somebody taking a stand that leaves them standing on someone. Most bad church experiences are the result of somebody prioritizing a view over a you, something Jesus never did and instructed us not to do either. Wow. If we were just Christians like Jesus said Christians are, then we might be salt and light in a world that needs flavor and direction. See, the power of presence, the power of our presence, lies in what we are for, not in what we're against. You know, it doesn't take much to be against something. It really doesn't. I mean, we can wake up and be against the fact that the clock got there quicker than we wanted it to. Being against something takes no effort at all. But when we're for something, that requires some work. That requires action. That requires change. How many of you are against hunger in the morning? How many of you are for breakfast in the morning? For requires getting up and making it, right? Or at least convincing someone to do it for you. See, it's about being for. How we express the power of love, the way Jesus expressed his love to us, is where the real power of presence is. Our presence as Christians, as followers of Christ, of children of God, that is what is going to make a difference in the world. Jesus himself said it in John chapter 13, verse 34. So now I am giving you a new commandment. Love each other. Just as I have loved you, you should love each other. Your love for one another will prove to the world. Notice that. Underline that. will prove to the world that you are my disciples. You are followers of me because you will love like I love. And remember, for God so loved the world that he gave. He wasn't just against sin. He was for us. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him would not perish, but have everlasting life. Although this is not the first Sunday of the month, and we had set out at the beginning of the year saying that on the first Sunday of the month, we are going to try to bring someone here to help us lift up our eyes to see beyond ourselves and to the needs and opportunities of people around us. Today, we have a special guest named Martha Avila from the Heartbeat of Miami. Pastor Marcel and I met Martha well over a year ago, and we were impressed by the things that she was for. We were impressed by how God had used her in the lives of so many women and entire families in our area. So we scheduled her to be with us several months ago, not knowing the heightened tension that would be surrounding particularly her and her ministry this past week. But I want you to please help me welcome Martha Avila as she comes to share her heart for many in need this morning. Thank you.
Good morning. What an honor, what a blessing to be with you this morning and worshiping with such an amazing group of people that love the Lord. It has been a pleasure being here, and I thank Pastor Russell and Beverly for inviting me. And as Pastor said, my name is Martha, and I am a co-founder and president of Heartbeat of Miami Pregnancy Health Medical Clinics. Can I see a raise of hands? Who has heard of Heartbeat of Miami? Okay, great. So let me tell you a little bit about what we do. Heartbeat of Miami is for life. It's a ministry that was birthed in the heart of God, because as you know, God cares about human life, right? Genesis 1:26 says that God made men in his image, in his beautiful image. So we are Imago Dei. We are the image of God. And every life in the womb of its mother, whether it was planned or not, it is created in the heart of God first before making it to that woman's womb. And so that is what Heartbeat of Miami is about. Heartbeat of Miami is about educating and informing women so that they can understand that what they're carrying is God's plan. And however it was conceived, that is not what it is about. It is about that baby has a perfect plan and purpose, right? Like it says in Jeremiah 1:5, that before God even formed us in the womb, right? He knew us, and before we were born, he had already consecrated us and appointed us to be prophets of nations. So we know that the Word of God says that every baby has a perfect plan and purpose. So the majority of the women that we serve, over 85%, are coming to our clinics seeking an abortion. They read pregnancy health medical clinics, and they are pregnant. They need help. So the majority of them are at risk of abortion. Yet when they get educated, when they see that baby on the ultrasound, 92% are choosing life for their baby to the glory of God. Yesterday, we celebrated 15 years of serving the community of South Florida. 15 years. And in 15 years, the Lord has given us an opportunity to rescue over 58,000 babies to God's honor and glory. Amen. And, our mission is providing life-saving help in a life-changing way. But, who can actually save lives and who can actually change lives? Only the gospel of life. Only Jesus can do that. So we have the opportunity, being a faith-based ministry, we have the opportunity of not only doing the pregnancy test, the ultrasound, the counseling, helping them with material and referrals, right? Not only that, material goods and referral goods, not only that, but we're also able to share the gospel of Jesus Christ with each and every one of these women. And why? Because they're at a very vulnerable stage, and they understand that only God could have created that beautiful baby in their womb. And there is an 8% that does have abortions, and we always tell them what Jesus would tell us, that whatever they choose, we are going to be here for them. And guess what? They come back. And they come back looking for the Redeemer. And we point them again back to the Savior. And that's the work that Heartbeat of Miami does. We are here to empower women. When you hear all of this that's going on, it's hard, to understand, and you can get confused. We don't want to be God's best kept secret, because you see, everyone sitting here today either knows someone that has had an abortion. You might have had an abortion. 1 out of 4 women has had an abortion. You're about to meet someone that has had an abortion, or perhaps you yourself are considering an abortion. Sadly, that's the way it is. And this is not just a women's issue. This is also men, because obviously it takes a man and a woman to create a human being, right? So this is what it is all about. It is about education. The majority of the women that have abortions is because that they don't know, they never had an opportunity to have someone come alongside with them and help them through that trial, through that crisis. And that's what Heartbeat of Miami Pregnancy Health Medical Clinics does. We have 4 clinics by the generosity of people like you and me. We have 2 of those clinics were a previous abortion business that God turned into a clinic of life. The one in Hialeah, very close to here, on 49th and 4th Avenue, that used to be an abortion business, and it's now a life-saving clinic. That's the first clinic that we opened back on July 9th, 2007. Then the Lord gave us the one in North Miami. Then we have one in Kendall, right next to the campus there, the Miami-Dade campus. And the 4th one is the one in Flagler, and that was an abortion business for over 28 years. And we took over and put up the banner of God, the banner of His love. And that's what Heartbeat does. We cannot do this without the support of people like you. It is the Christian community, God's call of Proverbs 24:11. And I'm going to read it to you because it's very like heart-wrenching. It says, "Rescue those who are being taken away to death, and hold back those who are stumbling to the slaughter." And you see, that's 24:11. But look what 12 says. "If you say, 'Behold, we did not know this,' does not He who weighs the heart perceive it? Does not He who keeps watch over your soul know it? And will He not repay men according to this work?" You see, Jesus came to give us life and life more abundantly. We need to get together as one and put an end to abortion. And how does abortion end? One woman at a time at the pregnancy clinics. Because this is how they receive the love and the support that they desperately need. There are 2 options to an unplanned pregnancy. Help that mom parent that baby, or a beautiful plan of adoption, just like all of us have been adopted to God's beautiful family. So we need your help. You can become a volunteer. You can become a financial supporter. And guess what? Help us fill these chairs with moms and babies that you yourself help save. So I thank you for this opportunity. Thank you, Pastor Russell, for inviting me. And I'm going to be outside just answering any questions that you may have. But please keep in contact with us. We are getting ready for our fundraising gala Perhaps someone here would like to be a sponsor. Whatever it is, you can be a part of this, and we can train you to be a counselor, and it is a beautiful way to serve God. God bless you. Thank you.
When I went there a few weeks ago, I was impressed, number one, by how things were done inside, how nice it was, and the women that were there and how they were helping them. And then I was also impressed by the rooms in the back that nobody gets to see that are just jam-packed, full of stuff to help new mothers and new babies and everything else. So even if it's every now and then you say, hey, I'm going to buy an extra deal of diapers, or we've got baby clothes, or we've got baby furniture, or something like that, all of these ways are ways that we can help and make a difference. Because, again, it's not just being against something. It's being for something and making a difference and making it happen in the lives of these women. So please encourage you to go outside, talk to her later, and then if you have any questions for me about it, we'd be glad to help you with that. Right now, I want us to go on and look at this idea of what one another's should define our presence. Go on to the next one. What one another should define our presence. Now, as we go through the one another's in the New Testament, I want you to know that they were all designed for people to do one with another within the context of church. Now, all of these things should be done outside of the church. But here's the deal. If you can't do it in church with people that you already have something in common with, like the Lord, you'll never be able to pull it out outside. This is what it is. But our presence should define this way. Number one, welcome one another. In Romans 15:7 it says, welcome one another as Christ has welcomed you for the glory of God. Welcoming means take that person to yourself, to let that person into your heart as a friend. You know, our world, by and large, is built around division. Us versus them. That can be race, that can be language, that can be educational, that can be socioeconomic, that can be neighborhood. Us, them. Us, them. And God says, that's not the way it should be. That's not the way He treats us. He welcomes everyone from everywhere. And that should be the way we do it also. Our presence should be a welcoming presence, one that attracts. Because all of this rests in the truth that we have been accepted by God. And if He accepted us, who were dead in our trespasses and sins, let's start with that. Let's put where He is and where we are. If He accepted us, who are we to not accept someone else? Second, comfort one another. Comfort one another. And the God of love and peace will be with you. Comforting is basically extending to others the comfort that we have received from God in the midst of our own pain and our own struggles. Have you looked back over your life? Maybe it was an illness, maybe it was an accident, maybe it was a situation, who knows what it was. But a situation where you could say this was some form of suffering. It was a bad time. How many of you have been through at least one bad time in your life? Good, that means you have a pulse. Okay. How many of you would say, well, it kind of happens more often than that sometimes? Yeah. Now, here's something I want you to understand. Your suffering is a commission. In other words, if you've been through a rough time and God has helped you through that rough time, you now have the job to help someone else going through that hard time because you understand what they're going through. Now, let's be honest. All of us cannot understand what somebody else is going through. Would we agree to that? Because we cannot feel everything that someone else has felt. But there's some things that sometimes someone is feeling and you go, I remember being there. I remember being there. I remember as a child when we were about to get on a plane and go to a brand new place. We were going to Peru. Now, mind you, we had been aiming for Peru all of my memory that I remembered. It was always, we were going to this place and this Peru, and finally here we were, and we were going. Now, Dad's last words to me were, as we got on that plane in Panama, headed for Lima, don't ask me where we're going tonight. And he said, I don't know anybody in this country, so I don't know what we're going to do. Because as a 5-year-old, we're going to land, and I'm going, okay, so where are we going? What are we going to do? And he goes, I don't know. I don't know anybody. Okay. So the plane landed. We got out of the plane. We didn't have the nice little go into the air conditioner. This was going down. It was a long time ago. The props still went around. I'm old. Keep going. All righty. So we get down. And as we get down, we're walking. And in the darkness, about midnight, I hear this word, Rudy Johnson, raise your hand. And as a 5-year-old, I'm going, if we don't know anybody in this country, how does somebody know my daddy's name? And you know what? Somebody that we didn't know talked to somebody that they knew that we didn't know about and told them we were coming. And that night, we were in a nice 2 or 3 bedroom house for the first 2 weeks that we were there till we could get settled. I've been through that. So when I hear somebody arriving to a place that they've never been, I know some of the feelings involved in that. I can relate, and consequently, maybe I can be a help in a way that somebody else who's never moved understands. Well, the same thing in your life. As Rick Warren said, God never wastes a hurt. He never wastes a hurt. So if you've been through a hurt and God has helped you through that hurt, the hurt of pain, of separation, or the hurt of death, or the hurt of pick a bad thing. If you've been through that, and God has helped you through that, one of the things is that's your commission, to go and help someone else who's going through that. Comfort one another with the same mercy, the same hope that he extended to you. Number 3, bear one another's burdens, and so fulfill the life of Christ. It means that when someone is struggling with something, you don't just come along and say, I'll pray for you, although that's important. Praying for them is action. That is good. But it's not just a quick, I'll pray for you and God bless you. Let me tell you something. God bless yous will not buy a meal. God bless yous will not solve issues. Sometimes we have to do more than just pray and wish someone well. We need to go do something about it. We need to be the one that comes alongside and bears their burden with them. Whether that burden is financial or emotional or even sin, we don't lay heavier burdens of guilt and shame and rules and you should have done and it would have been better if you had. No, 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 no. You come alongside and say, okay, the situation you're in, how can I make it less heavy? And let's walk through it together. Have you ever had someone do that for you? Hadn't it made a difference? Just to help? Just to breathe a little bit? Why? Because bearing one another's burdens is exactly what we were designed to do, one for another. But notice there's a different bear in the room. The next one says, bear with one another. And that's a whole different bear. This bear is a patience that lasts more than a moment. I love reading through the Gospels, and here's Jesus. And how many times did Jesus say to his disciples, basically, again? How long am I going to have to show you this, tell you this? Over and over and over. You almost hear him say, Peter, really? We didn't get it the last time? I think sometimes from heaven, he looks down at us and go, really? Again? We didn't learn the last time? Bearing with one another means that I have patience and I stick with someone long term. I hold back on my own anger, my own annoyance, or my own hurt, maybe even for a lifetime. It's like telling Peter, when he says, how many times do I have to forgive someone? 7 times? And he goes, no, Peter, 70 times 7. And Peter's going, that's a lot. But it wasn't the 490. It was like, this is unlimited, just like my bearing with you is unlimited. I, therefore, a prisoner of the Lord, urge you to walk in a manner worthy of the calling to which you have been called, with all humility and gentleness and patience, bearing with one another in love. I know this is going to come as a shock to you, but not everybody does what the pastor tells them they should do. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine? I preach here and I give you what it says in the Word, and some people look and inside they're going, And so a while later, we make an appointment and we come down and they go, I got a problem. And I can almost, and I found out the other day, this is because I'm old and I've seen it over and over again, I can kind of tell you what the issue is. Why? Because you've been going down this path, and every path leads to a direction, and it has consequences. So if you keep going down a path, guess where you're going to end up? Ta-da! So what do? You bear with one another in love. Putting it in parenting terms, you don't kill your teenager so you can have grandkids. That help you understand? You let them live so that later on you see the fruit of what's happened. And last but not least, be kind. Be kind to one. It says, be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, as God in Christ forgave you. Kindness. There are entire books written on how kindness seems to be lost in Christianity today. Kindness. In other words, when I'm confronted with a situation, even bad stuff, I can still be kind about it. I shouldn't let the bad stuff affect the way I deal with it. I can be kind in all I do. Paul said one time, don't use foul or abusive language. Let everything you say, may I add, 21st century, let everything you write and comment on social media be good and helpful, so that your words will be an encouragement for those who hear them. Put another way, let no corrupt communication come out of your mouth. Nothing. Oh, Russell, but sometimes I see things online and I just feel like, well, don't. Don't. Here's something. You realize that on Facebook, you can keep going without liking or commenting. How many of you didn't know that was possible? It's an amazing thing. There's all kind of stuff I see. Some about you that I don't comment on. And some things you see about me. And I'm thankful you don't comment about me. But guess what? Our comments aren't going to make the difference. But our kindness will. When they see you as a representative of Christ, do they see someone who, if you were hanging on the cross, would say, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they're doing? Oh, I could think of better words than that, Russell. Let me tell you what, and that's not the point. See, what you feel and what you think won't change the world. But what Jesus did and what Jesus said and the way Jesus acted did. And that's still what we need today. Now do me a favor. Go back over these 5 things this week and apply these one another's to your home and family. Are these 5 things the way family life is around your house? And you're going, only if somebody's visiting. No, I mean all the time. That's the way it should be. That's where kids are going to learn how to do this, is at home. This isn't church talk. This is the way life should be. So that they realize when they're in other environments, no, that's not quite right. Your extended family, your church family, your workplace, the random encounters you have each day, your social media accounts, even with those who might oppose you. If your presence shows these 5 one another's, I'll guarantee that you can become salt and light wherever you are. Let's pray. Lord, you never said that being like you was going to be easy. Lord, it doesn't come natural. What we see happening in our society and in our world on a daily basis that divides and conquers and all of that stuff, That is natural. But Lord, you didn't ask us to live a natural life. You asked us to live a life that was powered by the supernatural presence of your Son in us. Lord, we'll never be able to pull it off by ourselves. But Lord, with you in us and living through us, that is possible. Lord, I pray that you would help us to see that our one another's, our presence as salt and light in this world will indeed make a difference in our corner of the world. Lord, may we be known as those who preserve, as those who give flavor, as those who point in the right direction in all that we do. And we'll thank you for it all in your precious name. Amen. I thank you for being with us today. I'm going to ask Martha.